1 week out of every month, we have an 18% premium for men, which is the same amount as the gender pay gap.
I think it's fair if you think about the world and the gender inequality that we have.
Yeah, considering that there is a it's a fairly unequal pay gap between men and women.
Let's talk about the unequal pay gap for a second, because it always gets brought up, right? But we don't ever be genuine about our talks with the gender pay gap. There's a reason the gender pay gap exists. There are certain things that men can do that women cannot do physically. Can we all agree on that? There are certain things that men can do that women cannot do physically, just because we were born differently. We have different body types, right? On the job that I work currently, there are women that cannot do certain things that men can do. There are certain things that men can lift that women cannot lift. Yet they are still getting paid the same pay wage. Is that fair? Physically, you can't do everything that the man can do on the same job, but you're getting paid the same wage. Is that fair? I'll wait. Since we're going to be real, if we're going to be real about it, let's have a real conversation. There are certain jobs in the world that women will not go near because they don't want anything to do with it. You're not going to find too many women that's climbing down into sewer manholes and clearing the lines of shit and all the bullshit and sludge down there, troshing through all of the feces from all over the city. Women not going to do that. I don't even want to do that. There's a reason the pay gap exists. Typically, men can do more than women can in terms of physicality. Now, y'all can come to the comments and be like, "Oh, well, women are ahead. Women are leading in this. Women are leading in that. Women got degrees. Women got y'all got all of this knowledge and all of these smarts, right? So why then do you still need the help of men to close the gender wage pay gap? Why? Why you need the help of men to donate to a charity? You can do that on your own.
Even though there is supposedly equal pay, it doesn't really equate out there.
These are the rules. I want to read the rules. I want to read what the house rules were. This restaurant was called Handsome Her. Wow. Okay. And it was a space by women for women. It's got the little woman sign there. Here were the house rules. Rule number 1. Women have priority seating. Rule number 2. Men will be charged an 18% premium to reflect the greater pay gap or the gender pay gap, which is donated to a women's service. Rule number 3, respect goes both ways. Again, why do you need men's help to donate to a women's service? You still begging for men's help. Can't get around it. You still begging and asking for men's help. You cannot escape it. Y'all can donate on your own time. You can go right now and donate to whatever women's service you want to. They will gladly take your money. Why you need men's money to do it as well? No, do it yourself. If there's something that I want to support, I go and support that thing. I don't need the help of everybody else, of an entire different community behind me in order for me to support something. No, if I want to support something with my money, I go and support it with my money. I don't need this person and that person and these people over here and that gender over here to also support it. No, you do it. Oh, y'all want to hear that. We don't want to hear that.
People are uncomfortable with paying it, or men don't want to pay it, we're not going to kick them out the door. Like, it's just a good opportunity to do some good.
What is the equal opportunity? She said, we're not going to kick men out the door if they don't want to pay the 18% tax. We're not going to kick them out. It's just an opportunity to do some good. What is the good that you're doing? What is the good that you're doing? Because you can do good all by yourself, on your own. Why you need men again? You complain about disparities in wages, but then you still turn around and beg for men's help when it's something that you can do yourself. This reminds me of Bill Burr and when he did his expose on the WNBA. And the WNBA basically were complaining about the wage gaps between how much WNBA players and NBA players make, which the WNBA was a liability. I could say probably before this year. It might still be a liability, I don't know. But with all the hype that Caitlin Clark brought in, along with Angel Reese, this year was probably the first year where you saw a significant rise in interest in the WNBA from men. But prior to this point, all of your female superstars that you had, nobody cared. Because the business, again, was not generating revenue. It was losing revenue. And men still supported it. NBA players still supported it, even though it was a business that was costing men money, because men were the ones that were really paying these checks. It was costing them money. But y'all don't like to talk facts. It's fine.
An Australian cafe called the Handsome Her. It's only been open for 4 days, but it's already causing quite a stir online because of this sign posted outside. It lists 3 house rules, one of which reads, men will be charged an 18% premium to reflect the gender pay gap, which is donated to a woman's service. So, cafe owner Alex O'Brien says the goal of the tax is to raise awareness and prompt a conversation about the wage gap. And of course, social media users are weighing in. So, Chris writes, I get the idea behind it, but I can't help but feel that it creates a bigger divide. On the other side of that, Josh posts, no reason women shouldn't have their own spaces and be able to dictate what the rules are in them. So, of course, we asked online, should a business be allowed to charge a gender pay gap tax? And the results are in. 69% say no, 31% say yes. O'Brien notes that the tax is optional and she will not turn away a man who refuses to pay. But so far, no one has turned down the added fee. So
okay. No. Yeah. All you have to ask yourself is, would you be okay if they charged women a surcharge? No. Yeah. Not okay.
No,
right?
You wouldn't.
You're right.
You're allowed to do it, sure, but then you have to also put up with the consequences.
Ain't that the truth?
The city custom
Ain't that the truth? You're allowed to do it, but you then have to put up with the consequences of doing so. Hey, listen, I wouldn't even want to go sit down at a restaurant that charged men an 18% tax. I'm not going. Sorry. Not going. Not going. And you know what else? My wife would never take me to a spot like that to eat. My wife wouldn't even go to a spot like that to eat. Y'all want your own space? Fine. Nobody cares. Men don't care that y'all open up a restaurant that's really geared towards women. You know why? We just won't go. It's not a big deal. We don't care. It's okay. We just won't go. You know how I know that? Because guess how this business has fared? Just like my man said, you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do whatever you want. But then you got to put up with the consequences. And the consequences came quick, fast, and in a hurry for this business. Because not 2 years after they opened, not even 2 years after they opened, they have now closed. Let's go through it. A lesbian-owned vegan coffee shop in Brunswick, Australia, that made international headlines in 2017 for charging an involuntary 18% man tax will close its doors for good after less than 2 years in business. You see that? See how we voted with our dollar? If women voted with their dollar for the WNBA, Like men vote with their dollar for things that they don't want and things that they actually like. Man, the things that y'all can do. Y'all outnumber us. Women outnumber men. So what is the reason why the WNBA is not more popular? I wonder why. It's because men ain't supporting that shit. Men didn't care about WNBA until this year. Meanwhile, women had all the ability in the world to go and support it. Go to the games, turn it on, watch it, become involved. They didn't care. They didn't care. They wanted men to care. Just like they wanted men to care about this. Handsome Her, which opened as a space for women by women, received backlash for what critics called reverse sexism. The cafe asked male patrons upon checkout if they wanted to pay an optional surcharge meant to represent the gender pay gap and offered female patrons priority seating. If you ask me upon checkout if I want to pay a premium tax on what my lunch costs, I'm going to tell you no to your face. You might hear absolutely not. What man with a pair of balls would walk up to the register and say, yes, I would like to pay more for my meal for the simple fact that I'm a man? While the business did not confirm or deny rumors of bankruptcy, co-owner Alexandra O'Brien said the Handsome Her team will continue to pursue its mission to drive change with hands-on work across Australia. O'Brien said allegations of sexism only proved how fragile masculinity is. Oh, God. And confirm the need to confront and dismantle patriarchy. You see the sublims? Do you see the subliminal shots that must be thrown? Do you see that they still have to blame they blame the failure of the business on the fragile male ego? Why didn't women come and support it? That restaurant should have been packed from the time they opened to the time they closed. Every single day, that restaurant should have been packed. But guess what? Chances are that women that are actually in healthy, good relationships, they're not coming to patronize your business with their boyfriend or their husband. Why? Because it's disrespectful. The smart women figured that shit out. You idiots are still wondering why the business failed and blaming it on men. Saying that their masculinity is too fragile. Their egos are egos. You see that? You can't make this shit up, man. You cannot make this shit up. The business apparent failure sparked mixed reactions online, while some social media users praised the Handsome Her team as heroes. And lesbian feminist activists, others called them man-haters and said the cafe's impending closure proved that sexism in business is a bad idea. It absolutely is. If you would just think for a moment across every restaurant that you've ever been to here in America. Okay? Think about your favorite one. Think about your favorite restaurant, men and women. Now, think that all of a sudden it opened tomorrow and they started charging women an 18% tax for just being a woman. Could you imagine the backlash? Could you imagine the crying, the outpour of rage that would hit the press and the news media circuit all over the world? Oh my God. Could you imagine it? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. In a Facebook post titled "A Handsome Farewell," O'Brien said the cafe opened to carve out a swath of space to prioritize women and women's issues, but instead became a punching bag While gentlemen's social clubs live on and strong around Melbourne and the world over. Do you know why? Because men support it. We don't need women to support it. That's why. Hey, somebody should have told O'Brien that the reason gentlemen's social clubs work out is because men pay and support what it is that they want. And if y'all want the same thing, you should probably go about supporting it the same way that men do. And stop begging men for their help in something that you want. Handsome Her conducted business for the last time on April 14th, but will hold one final day of storytelling, dancing, singing, eating, and drinking. The celebration will include a pay-as-you-feel scheme, and all proceeds will be donated to, well, who gives a fuck? Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. And this has been, you can't make this shit up. I'll see you in the next one.